Good morning, M4. In today's English, we are going to learn about apostrophe, but this time it's about possessive apostrophe. The difference between possessive apostrophe and then the contraction is that possessive apostrophe, we use it to show when something when something belongs to someone or something. I will write the meaning here. You can pause the video and you can copy the meaning on your notebook. As the meaning says, we use it to show when something belongs to someone or something, or it shows ownership. So, how does it look like? We use possessive apostrophe with nouns. I'm going to give you an example and how it looks like and how to use it in the sentence. First, we start with names or the proper nouns. For proper nouns, what we do to show ownership or to use possessive apostrophe to it is that we add apostrophe and an S to our proper noun. For example, we have the meaning the telephone of Anna. So as the apostrophe we're using is to show possessive or ownership, you have to ask who owns the telephone. Anna owns the telephone. So what we do is we add apostrophe and an S to our noun or proper noun Anna. So this is how it will look like. Anna's telephone. Our proper noun or the name Anna, apostrophe and the letter S. Whose telephone is it? It's Anna's telephone. So we can use it in a sentence like this. Anna's telephone is ringing all the time. Whose telephone is it? It's Anna's telephone. I will give you another example with the use of proper noun. Another example we have here, Harry's parrot is called Mad. Who owns the parrot? Harry owns the parrot. That is why after the proper noun or the name Harry, we add the apostrophe and the letter S. Now let's talk about common noun. How do we add apostrophe or possessive apostrophe to a common noun? For common noun, we have some rules to follow. Especially, we have to consider if it's singular or plural. Let's first talk about singular common noun. For singular noun, what we do is the same like what we did with proper noun. For singular noun, we also add an apostrophe and an S, even if it ends with a letter S. I will give you an example. The example of singular common noun here, example we have mom, boy, teacher, cat. So how to make this, how to use a possessive apostrophe with this? Again, we just simply add an apostrophe and the letter S to it. So for mom, it's going to be mums. And for boy, we will also add apostrophe and letter S to it. Now they will look like this. Boy, boys. Teacher, teachers. Cat, cats. By using this, it will mean that it will show ownership. I will use them in a sentence so that you will see the difference. So this is how they look like if you use it in the sentence. My mom's cake is delicious. Who owns the cake? Mom's. My mom's cake. The boy's bicycle is blue. Who owns the bicycle? The boy owns the bicycle. My teacher's name is Maria. Whose name is that? It belongs to my teacher or the teacher. Her cat's toy is broken. Whose toy was it? It's the cat's toy. So remember, we just add apostrophe and letter S after our singular noun. Remember, this is only for singular noun. Remember that. And if you remember in the meaning here, it also says even if it ends with letter S. What does it mean? Well, it shows like this. I'm going to give you an example. Example, we have the word here, bus, dress. these words, they end with letter S. So even if the word ends with letter S, like this one, bus and dress, we still add an apostrophe and also add an S to it. Okay, I will give the sentence over here so you will see how it looks like. Example, the bus driver, the dress's color. Whose driver? The bus. Whose color? The dress. So this is how they will look like. Even if they end with letter S, we still add an apostrophe and add letter S to it. So that's for our common noun if it's singular. Remember, this is for singular. Now we'll talk about plural noun. How to use possessive apostrophe with plural nouns. So for plural noun, we only add apostrophe to a plural noun that ends with S. Of course, plural, most plurals or regular plural nouns end with letter S. So we only use apostrophe, or rather we only add apostrophe. Okay, I will give you an example. Example, we have books. It's plural and it ends with letter S. So as the instruction said, we only add an apostrophe. So it will look like this. Books. And then we only add apostrophe. I will use it in the sentence so you will see the meaning. So example in the sentence, it is those books covers are old. Whose covers, or who owns the covers, or what owns the covers? The books owns the covers. So we just add apostrophe after the letter S. We don't add S because that is only for singular nouns that ends with S. But for this one, it's plural that ends with letter S. So we only add apostrophe. Okay, don't confuse yourself with that. The other one was singular. I'll give you one more example. We have girls. Again, this is a noun and it's plural and it ends with S. So again, we will just add apostrophe after the letter S. So it will look like this, girls. Now I'm going to use it in the sentence so you will see the meaning. The girls' hats are all the same. Who owns the hats? The girls. Because it's the girls' hats. Okay, so that's how we use possessive apostrophe with plural nouns that ends with letter S. Now you might ask, why you're saying only plural nouns that end with letter S? Aren't all plural end with letter S? No, we have irregular plural nouns and they don't end with letter S. I am going to give you an example with that. For irregular plural nouns, we also add an apostrophe and S. This time we add S even if it's plural because it's irregular. You might ask, what do you mean when you say irregular plural, Miss Maria? These are the nouns that we don't normally add S to make plural. For example, I will give you woman. Woman is singular and the plural of woman is women. And as you can see, it doesn't end with letter S. So these kind of plural is what we call irregular plural nouns. Alright, so for this kind of noun, we also add apostrophe and a letter S to it. I will show you how it looks like. So we also add apostrophe and letter S to the irregular plural noun. Women, it's going to be women's. I'm going to use this in the sentence so that you'll see the meaning. The women's football match starts today. Whose football match? It's the women's football match. So that is how you use it in a sentence. Another example, we have child. Child is singular and the plural form of it is children. Again, it doesn't end with letter S because it is an irregular plural noun. So what we do to make it or to use an possessive apostrophe to it is just add apostrophe and the letter S. So it looks like this. Children's. Again, I'm going to use it in a sentence so you will see the meaning. The children's toys are everywhere. Whose toys are it? It's the children's toys. Okay, so the children owns the toys. So that is how we show ownership with irregular plural nouns. So I hope, actually do take down notes, because this is important details or information about your possessive apostrophe. I am going to explain your activity, so please listen carefully. For your first activity, it's letter A over here, and the example I will explain to you. What you need to do is, if you can see, or there are words inside the parenthesis, and these words is the one where you need to use the possessive apostrophe. For example, we have here Harry. So in the sentence it says Mr. and Mrs. Holdsworth are Harry parents. So how do we use possessive apostrophe with this? As we have discussed earlier, we add apostrophe and the letter S to our proper noun. So it will look like Harry's. So Mr. and Mrs. Holdsworth are Harry's parents. That's all. You have to look at the words inside the apostrophe. So number one, we have mad. So how do you write mad here? Using an apostrophe possessive or possessive apostrophe. Number two, we have family. You write it here with the possessive apostrophe. Number three, we have parrot. So you write parrot here together with the possessive apostrophe. Number four, we have window. So you write window here with the possessive apostrophe. How to show ownership. Okay, so that's easy. Okay, activity letter B. Let me just clear that. Activity letter B, it says use possessive form of these words in a sentence. As we have discussed, possessive apostrophe, they show, or we show it, or rather we use it to show ownership, or when something or belongs to someone. So the first phrase here inside the circle, it says the house belonging to the family. So you have to think, what are we talking about? We are talking about the house. So who owns the house, or to whom does it belong? It belongs to the family. So how are you going to write that in a possessive form? I will answer number one to serve as an example, and you can answer 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So for this sentence, since the family owns the house, so the possessive form of it will look like this. The family's house. Okay, who owns the house? The families. So I just add apostrophe here and letter S, and then the family's house. Now you do number 2, 3, and 4. So number 2, we have the friend of Harry. Who are we talking about here? We're talking about the friend. Whose friend? It's Harry. So how do you write it in a possessive form? Third, the pet belonging to grandpa. What are we talking about here? We're talking about the pet. To whom does it belong? It belongs to grandpa. So how do you write it in possessive form? It should look like this, okay? It should look like the example I wrote for number 1. So number 4, we have the car owned by the teacher. What are we talking about here? We're talking about the car. Who owned the car? Or who owns the car? It owns by the teacher. So write the possessive form over here. Again, it will look like this. For your activity number 2, it looks like this. You will have a copy like this. Again, the meaning and the usage is also here, but you already copied the meaning earlier, so it's fine. So the activity looks like this. We have the first sentence. What you need to do is you're just going to add the apostrophe. Where do you need to add the apostrophe? So always ask yourself, what are we talking about? And who owns that thing? Okay, so for number 1, we have here Those boys' bicycles were stolen outside the store. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about the bicycles. Who owns the bicycle? The boys owns the bicycle. Now think of yourself, is it singular or plural? Now if it's singular, where do we add the apostrophe? If it's plural, where do we add the apostrophe? Consider, if it's plural, think if it ends with letter S. If it's plural and if it doesn't end with letter S, then where do you write the apostrophe? Okay, so on your notebook, you can please write the sentence, the complete sentence together with the correct apostrophe. All right, so we have the rest of the sentence here. Second one, are you going to Max's birthday party on Sunday? So what are we talking about here? We're talking about the birthday party. Who owns the birthday party, or whose birthday party is it? So think where to add the apostrophe. Same goes with the rest of the sentence, okay? I am not gonna talk more so that you will have time to answer your activity. You can always watch the video again so that you can understand the lesson well. Anyway, take clear photos of your activities and send it in our Google Classroom. That's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.